Are you thinking about training for a marathon? I'm Molly from allaboutmarathontraining.com, and today I have 12 questions that I want you to ask yourself before you start on a marathon training program. Question number one, do you have the time? Training for a marathon is going to require a lot of time out on the roads or your treadmill, and you want to be able to make sure you can set aside at least 3 days a week for shorter runs and one long run each week. And that long run, depending on your training schedule, could be anywhere from 1 to maybe 3.5 hours. So take that into consideration. Number two, are you healthy? I encourage all of my clients that I coach and people that I train over on the site to take the PARQ Plus form before they start training. And this form will really help you determine if you need to talk to your healthcare provider before starting on a marathon training plan. Question number three to ask yourself is, how long have you been a runner? I really recommend you having at least 6 months of running behind you. And I'm talking beginning running, where maybe you go out 3 times a week for 30 minutes at a time. Now, if you've had a more active past or maybe more athletic in the recent months, then maybe you could get by with 3 months of running behind you, but really you want to allow your body to adjust to the running process. You use different muscle fibers, you use different energy pathways, and so that all takes time to build up before just jumping into something as rigorous as marathon training. Fourthly, what has been your longest long run recently? I really like runners to be comfortable with running about 3 to 4 miles, since this is where a lot of marathon training plans will start, and then they will increase your mileage and increase your endurance from that base. Now, if you're looking to run walk a marathon, maybe make that your parameter. You need to be able to run walk about 3 to 4 miles. Question number 5, what is your weekly mileage currently? Again, I want runners to be really comfortable around that 15, maybe 20 mile mark. If you're looking at a longer period of training, such as I have the 32-week marathon training plan over on the site that is extremely popular, but that really helps build mileage slowly and very steadily. And so you can allow for lesser weekly miles because you're training over such a long period of time. But if you're looking at maybe a 12-week or a 16-week training plan, you want to really have at least 15 miles in your weekly mileage log. Question number 6 kind of goes back to number 1, but do you have a demanding job, a work project, or maybe spouse or family situation that's going to require a lot of focus? Now, you have to realize when you're taking time and putting it into something, you're taking time away from something else. And so kind of try and have that insight before you start training so that you don't feel the pressure when you're in a marathon training plan, but you have all these other things going on and you're thinking, I just have to get all these runs in, otherwise I'm not going to be ready, which is true. So try and have that insight. And yes, things will come up, but it's all about looking ahead and trying to be able to see if anything might really demand your attention while you're training. Number 7, do you have somebody that you can go to for support? Maybe you want an accountability partner, or maybe you want a training buddy, but do you have somebody that you can go and talk to, or maybe will hold you accountable to your training, somebody that you can get support from, and maybe resources or whatever you need? Try and find that person before you start training, and this will make all the difference. Number 8, do you know how you are supposed to be eating in order to be able to run a marathon? What you give your body is what you're going to get out of it, and your nutrition should be very, very specific to your goals. And so when you're training for a marathon, you need to know, what are you supposed to be eating? What's the substances that are really going to help you perform at your best? I have an Eat Like a Runner's course that walks you through the entire process. We personalize all of the nutrition to your needs, and then I really cater it to marathoners and help them figure out their marathon training nutritional lifestyle, what that should look like. And we also focus on that last week of training when you need to be carbo loading and what that should look like for you. Number 9, do you value your rest and sleep? Training for a marathon is all about finding that balance of knowing when you need to rest and knowing when you need to push through. But I strongly recommend before you start training to get on a schedule where you are sleeping for at least 7 hours every night. That is crucial to being able to run long distances and then recover properly. So get into that habit now. Number 10, do you own a pair of anatomically and biomechanically correct running shoes? This is really the only piece of equipment that you need in order to run a marathon, but it's something you want to take time in finding what's right for you, and maybe even a little bit of an investment. I have a lot of recommendations and guidelines over at the site which I will link. So check those out and see maybe what's going to work best for you and your foot. Number 11, and one that I think is extremely important, is to ask yourself why. Why do you want to run this race? Be very specific and write it down. Put it somewhere where you can see it all the time. It should be very powerful. It should really hold you to your goals so that when you're not feeling like you want to go out on that run, which happens to all of us, you can look at your why and say, yes, this is why. This is why I'm doing it. I'm going. And lastly, have you run a race before? It's a great idea to start small, maybe a 5K, 10K, or even half marathon, and just get adjusted to the whole race process and the atmosphere and what you need to pack and set up for yourself the night before and the weeks before. And that really helps you get an idea so it's not so foreign when you're training and then running a long distance such as the marathon. So there you go, 12 questions that I want you to ask yourself. And if you need any training plans or tools, I have a whole bunch of resources over at allaboutmarathontraining.com, so come visit me there.